Welcome to Waypoint of View. We're Jess and Myles, and we're on a worldwide journey to broaden our perspectives by putting ourselves somewhere new on the map. We are gearing up for our first international flight in 2021, and we thought we would answer a few questions about ourselves and a little of what it takes to be on the road full time. We are here in an Airbnb in Atlanta where we have been since the holidays preparing to get back on the road, but more about that in a minute.
We've been making videos for a little over a year now, and we've really enjoyed sharing our journey, but we honestly haven't been the best at sharing the behind the scenes, the how and why of our adventure. We're packing to get back on the road, and we just got a great comment on one of our videos asking some of those questions, and we thought what better time to share than while we're gearing up to hit the road again.
We are packing for our first international flight in over 10 months. We are starting 2021 in a really big way, so be sure to stick around until the end to see where we are headed and what we have planned first. But over the past year, we have been asked a range of questions about ourselves and our backstory, so we figured we would answer some of those while we were getting ready to go. We'll start with an easy one. How old are we? Myles just turned 34, and I'll be turning 34 in March, so we are properly in our mid-30s at this point.
Just the right age to quit our jobs to travel the world.
There's also been several questions about what we did for work before we quit our jobs. I was an insurance broker for 10 years, and Myles did marketing for a medical company.
We actually met back in high school and started dating when we were in college over 14 years ago, and our 10-year wedding anniversary comes up in just a few months in April. And we've had a passion for travel really since the beginning. Our first trip was to Italy back when we were just 21 years old.
We actually first considered long-term travel about 6 years ago, but essentially put it behind us. But it came back up again in 2018 after a trip to Africa, and at that point, we knew it was now or never and decided to go for it.
It definitely wasn't easy. There was a lot of preparation that went into this. It actually took over a year of planning before we quit our jobs. We sold our house and my car, packed everything into storage, booked our one-way flight to Australia, and left on October 2nd, 2019. Initially, our plan was to stay on the road internationally for 2 years.
But obviously, the world had different plans for us, and we were forced back home in March from the Philippines after 6 months of travel. So we switched gears and ended up doing a 4.5-month road trip here in the US and got to see some unbelievable places in our own country. And on that note, now that we're headed back overseas, it's time to get back to our 2 bags apiece, which has been a lot harder than we were expecting it to be.
I've got to show you just some of the things we had with us on our road trip. Just tripped over our bag. This is just some of the things that we had with us on our road trip, and now it's time to take it back to the storage unit. We've only been back here a couple of times since we first left, and we packed this thing to the brim. We've got so much stuff from our road trip to fit back in here. It's going to be a bit of a puzzle to get it all to fit. Don't worry, we have an entire other side to this storage unit.
Hopefully this stuff will fit in on the other side.
It's definitely not perfect, but it all fits.
So aside from figuring out what to do with all of our stuff, another big aspect of getting on the road for 2 years was the budget. We've had several questions about how we afford our travels, what our budget is, and how we manage it. We worked really hard before we left to save as much money as possible and set an overall budget of $150 per day total. This is an average. Obviously, some areas are more expensive than others. So for example, our budget in Southeast Asia was $80 a day, whereas we've budgeted higher for other parts of the world.
And keeping track of a budget like that over a 2-year period does take a lot of effort, and we've been just using this archaic Google spreadsheet that we created. It's not perfect, but it gets the job done, and it's been pretty eye-opening to track all of our expenses. It's definitely something I'd like to keep doing once we're done traveling. As far as how we fund our travels, that's largely been from our savings. I did pick up some part-time work from my old employer while we've been back in the States, which has been really nice to offset some of our expenses while we've been back here in the US. Some people have also asked us if we make any money with YouTube, and we did just hit 1,000 subscribers last month. So if you're a subscriber, thank you very much.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
So we recently did monetize our channel, but to be honest, the AdSense revenue on a channel our size comes to about $50 a month. So as you can imagine, we're certainly not doing this for the money.
I think that's going to be it for today. We have plenty more logistics to work out tomorrow, so we will pick back up in the morning.
All right, we're about 36 hours from departure, and our flight requires a negative COVID test, so that's what we're doing first thing this morning.
We've had a couple of rapid tests over the holidays before seeing family, but this is going to be our first PCR test, or brain biopsy as they call it. So I have really built this up in my head.
So it's going to go from about there to there.
Okay.
Into both sides of your nostrils, okay?
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's okay. Thank you.
Hopefully it wasn't too bad.
No, not too bad.
All right, okay?
Yeah,
There you go.
definitely makes your eyes water.
That really was not bad. I had made that out to be so much worse in my mind than what it actually was. I am glad it's over, and now fingers crossed for a negative test result.
We've got one more big errand for the day. We're taking the car a couple hours south to where it's gonna live while we're overseas, and we figured we'd try to answer a couple more questions while we're on the drive. I know yesterday we said we don't make YouTube videos for the money, but we didn't really answer why we make videos. We started doing it just for ourselves. Videos are a great way to capture memories like these. But over the past year, we've gotten some amazing comments, and it's really been encouraging to see people actually getting value out of our videos or just following along on our journey. But to be honest, we probably would have stopped making videos a long time ago if it weren't for the encouraging comments. So thank you very much.
Along the lines of making videos, Myles does all of the editing. I do give him feedback on said videos, probably more than he typically wants. And then I do all of the planning.
All of it.
So much planning. Like right now, we're going to pick up a rental car, to drive down to drop my car, and then drive back up to Atlanta in our rental car, and then drop off the rental car at the airport tomorrow before we fly out. So many logistics. Today is the day. I'm so excited and nervous and all the things.
Ah!
So we got our negative COVID test yesterday. We are all packed up and ready to go, and all that's left to do is head to the airport. There is obviously a lot that goes into full-time travel, and a question that we get pretty regularly is what made us want to do this in the first place? It definitely was not easy to walk away from our old lives. But travel has always been a huge priority for us, and for years we took full advantage of any time off of work that we had to travel. But ultimately, it just wasn't enough. Every time we would get home from one place, we immediately started to plan our next adventure.
We had some friends take on long-term travel, and as crazy as it sounded to do something like that, we at least knew that it was a real thing that real people did. And we wanted to see as much of the world as we possibly could while we were still able. At the end of the day, it's definitely a big risk to do something like this, but we knew we would regret it if we didn't just go for it. We're already over a year into our 2-year adventure, and I can't even express how much this experience has impacted us. It certainly looks a lot different than we had planned, but we're really excited to be getting back on the road internationally for however long it lasts here in 2021.
And for what we have planned first. Welcome to Moshi, Tanzania. We are so excited to be here because tomorrow we are starting our climb up Mount Kilimanjaro, Africa's tallest mountain, and this behemoth standing right here behind me. Hopefully the next video you guys see from us will be the start of our climb up this giant mountain. Honestly, it is huge and so intimidating, and I'm freaking out a lot. So wish us luck. Hopefully this stuff will fit in on the other side. I'm honestly more terrified than I am excited about it. I had forgotten just how big this thing was. It is busting at the seams. Just when you think there's no way you'll be able to get anything else in it, just swallows it right on up. This has got to be heavier than my checked bag.
Oh my gosh.
It's really, once it's on here, it just feels right.